On YouTube in just a moment. Thank you everybody for putting your names and locations in the chat on Zoom. And we are live on YouTube now. So welcome everybody over on YouTube. We are delighted to have you joining us here today. And as you're joining on YouTube, please go ahead and put your name and location into the chat so we can welcome you in here too. And I will just say once again, I am Jocelyn Starfeather. I'm delighted to be here bringing you this production from the Global School for Quantum Evolution featuring Elizabeth Bercovici. Welcome, Elizabeth. Thank you so much for being here and sharing with us today.
I'm just so excited. I just know we're going to have a wonderful time. And I'm just so grateful to everyone who's here live, everyone who's listening to the replay. This is definitely a very exciting moment for your inner hero or heroine.
Yes, yes, yes. We can't wait. I speak for everybody when I say we can't wait. So welcome everybody joining. Welcome Emer in Scotland. Welcome Bridget in Massachusetts. Melissa in North Carolina. Welcome Stephen in Vermont. Wendy in Wisconsin. Dawn in Illinois. Welcome Amy in Florida. Welcome Evie in Dublin. Welcome Tiffany in Delaware. Welcome Gabriella in North Carolina or Northern California. Sorry about that. And welcome Petra from Czechia. Welcome Cheryl from North Carolina. Diane in Vancouver, Canada. Angel in Ukraine. Ember in Maui. And so many more. Welcome, everybody. We are so glad to have you here with us. And welcome to all those joining us over on YouTube as well. We are so happy to have you here. And I want to give a shout out here in the YouTube recording too to Kathleen. Thank you, Kathleen, for all the magic that you do behind the scenes to make the Quantum School work and bring all of this out to the world. Kathleen is a multi-galactic course manager for the Global School for Quantum Evolution, and I'm so grateful, Kathleen, for all that you do. Yes, yes. So everybody, we have an amazing presentation today from Elizabeth. And so I'm going to share just a little bit more about Elizabeth and her work for those of you who may not know about her work yet. I know many of you here do. So Elizabeth Bercovici is a bardess, writer, myth storyteller, and sacred event producer. Elizabeth works with people of all ages on books, scripts, and children's books, having extensive knowledge of each form. The host and producer of 9 magical storytelling virtual summits, she also leads clients on shamanic story journeys to help them activate the storyteller within. Elizabeth has an MFA in creative writing from Emerson College and a BA in English literature from Skidmore College. And she has published 2 books, a children's book called The Fairy and the Firefly, and a handbook about herbal medicine called The Energetic Apothecary. Elizabeth is a Reiki master and vortex healing practitioner whose mission is to teach others to reconnect with the innate source of their creativity, empowering heart, mind, body, and soul to reach new imaginative heights. And Elizabeth, I am just always so inspired by your work, by the beautiful storytelling that you do, by these amazing events that you create. I know I participated in a couple where you were raising funds to help plant new trees was it in Scotland or in Ireland? Just so amazing. So thank you for all of the beautiful work that you do. And I can't wait to hear all that you're going to share with us today. So I will turn it right over to you and go right ahead, and can't wait to hear what you will share.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for that beautiful introduction. And I just want to say I'm so honored to be here today with all of you. From the very beginning, I think since I was a little kid, I always loved stories of high adventure, valor, and they did something to my heart. They made me believe in a way that I don't know if I think that one of the big things about, when we look at a beautiful work of art, a movie or a book, and we find ourselves falling in love with the hero or heroine's journey, there's something in them. There's something that speaks to us on the deepest level of our being. And so for me, I can just say that the stories I was most drawn to were always ones of heroes or heroines rising up against seemingly impossible odds, fighting for what they believed in, standing for something greater than themselves. And so, I also have a very deep connection and love of Irish mythology, Irish storytelling. And I found that, when I looked at the Irish myths, the Irish legends, I didn't always feel that there was that same emphasis on something like, valor in the same way that you might see it in the Arthurian legends. So, a little bit more about me is I also love all the legends of King Arthur. I love the stories of the Knights of the Round Table. And when I really sit with those legends, those stories, I see that there is this call. There's this call to kind of to step into what I call like higher ideals. These higher ideals, be they honor, valor, nobility of purpose. And when you look at the Irish myths and legends on the surface, you don't see, that same, like those same values per se, but it's because we have to look a little bit deeper into the stories. And a lot of the Irish myths and legends, you'll hear of great heroes like Fionn Cumhaill, or like, there's so many different beautiful beings. And usually in the Irish legends and mythology, we regard heroes who hold great strength. And something I've also noticed in a lot of Irish myths and legends is that there is an emphasis, the great heroes like Cumhaill that we tell stories about are ones who go on great voyages and adventures into the other worlds. And so there is this element in Irish mythology, in what I think of really as like the true heroic tales of Ireland, is crossing the threshold to the other world and returning with gifts. And these can be gifts of wisdom, they can be literal gifts of magic. And so that's usually the story of the Irish hero or heroine. And I find, though, that when I was looking deeper into the stories, what I wanted was a deeper connection with those legendary beings. Because when we look at someone like King Arthur and we watch movies or we read books, I feel like we feel the beating heart of that great hero. We feel the beating heart of that king, and like we really connect with them on this great human level. And I find that when we look at some more of the Irish legends, the Irish stories, the characters, because they are so large, like they're so much like larger than life, we don't always connect with them on that same human level. And so my intention as the storyteller today is to really help you connect with the beating heart of these mythic Irish figures, so you can really feel the stories, them rising into their courage, them going into what I define. I really see that when they go to the other world, it's not just like, oh, there's the other world, there is the threshold to the world of magic and mystery. There's something within themselves. There is a courage they need to activate. And I just feel that that is something that is so important, not just when we look at the myths and legends of the past, but also for each and every single one of us in the world today. And hold on, I'm just gonna get, I have some notes for us, things I wanted to share. Let me just share a little bit also about myself before I get going. So some that people who know me very well, I usually tell the story pretty soon. So I actually I have a lot of Irish ancestry, but I also have some Dutch ancestry. And so my Dutch ancestors, people will always hear this story because it's one of my favorite stories. We have medals of valor. We have medals of valor. I have eight generations Dutch Navy in my blood, and we defeated Napoleon at the Battle of Waterloo. And for those of you who are not familiar with all of Napoleon's stories and history, he went to a lot of places, conquered them. And I'm just not the biggest fan of Napoleon myself. But I digress. But so at the Battle of Waterloo, his cannons were melted down, and they were melted down into medals of valor for those who were there that day. And so I grew up knowing that my family had these medals of valor. And as a young girl, I always took great pride in that. And it always made me ask the question, what is valor? And also, what does it mean to be a true hero or heroine? And so I think that's a very individual question. I know a lot of us, I think that it's a very personal question. But in today's world, when we look at, I'm just going to be very blunt about this, when we look at the leaders, the people who are really in power, I'm going to be very clear, I don't see a lot of them holding these high principles of valor, honor, and nobility. And I think a lot of us have stopped believing in them. The same way that once upon a time people stopped believing in fairies, they stopped believing in the goddess, they stopped believing in all of the magic of the other worlds. And I feel like everyone here, if you've been drawn to this call, maybe you have a love of mythology, but I feel that most likely in your heart of hearts, you also have some belief in magic, some belief in the mystery of these other worlds that they whisper to you, that they speak to you. And, especially when we're looking at Irish myths and legends, Irish stories, every major heroine, every major hero, there is some initiation with the other world. And it's actually the other world that often gives that hero or heroine their divine soul power. So nothing like when I think of what makes a hero or heroine, there are many, many things. If we look at the hero's journey, we can see Joseph Campbell did a lot of work with the hero's journey, but I feel that he just like that's the tip of the iceberg. And nevertheless, I want to start in that place because many of us are familiar with that hero's journey arc that Joseph Campbell so beautifully put together. And so there will always be the call. And so for me, when I think of the hero or the heroine, there is a call for them to be more, for them to be more than they ever thought they could be. But to step into that, they have to leave what is familiar behind. They have to step into the mystery. They have to step into the unknown. They have to cross the threshold. And so this is something that over and over and over again, whenever I look at what it means to be a hero or heroine, this is the thing I see again and again. It's that the hero, the heroine is always choosing to cross that threshold, to go into that next highest level version of themselves. Many of us find ourselves, everyone who is here, I'm sure you've been on a very long spiritual journey, that you have come into a greater knowledge and understanding of yourself. And yet I think what sets a hero apart is it's there's this quest, but it really is a quest that is for the greater good. And there is something about being a force for good. So many of us, especially if you are here, I know there's something in your heart. There is something in you that resonates with this energy of valor, heroism, nobility. And to me, when I look at these energies, because these are things that we get to claim. These are not just, things from stories of old. These are not just, oh, in the stories of King Arthur, there's valor, but oh, like that's not something that's real in the world. I say that we get to choose here and now. All of us get to choose to live with these higher principles. But to do so, we have to choose them. We have to believe that they are real. And so I think this is kind of, I know it's funny the way I'm putting this to people, but I found one of the things that kind of was coming through when I was preparing for today's call. I'm sure many of you are familiar with the story of Peter Pan. And in the original version that was performed in London, this I think is sometimes in the Peter Pan movies, but it really was in the original play. There is this moment where Tinkerbell drinks poison for Peter, and Peter doesn't know. He's like, why are you drinking that? And she drinks the poison. And, this beautiful little fairy, and she collapses on the stage. And at this point, Peter suddenly turns to the audience and he's like, oh no, the only way to save her, he needs everyone to clap that they believe in fairies. And so, of course, you can just imagine the audiences the first time this the first time this was ever, out there on stage, the whole audience clapping, I believe in fairies, I believe in fairies. And of course, then Tinkerbell wakes up, she is saved. And that was magic right there. So it's this idea of, believing in something. And so when we look at, there's so many stories, and I'm not even going to go into valor and heroism just like right now, the second. I actually want to even look at stories of love. So many of us, we watch all those beautiful romantic comedies, or we watch those epic love stories, even things like Pride and Prejudice. And we ask ourselves, why do we watch them? It's because there's part of us that is wanting to believe in true love, not as a fairy tale, but as something that is very real. And by the act of watching that or reading a story like that, we claim it. We claim it as real. And so the same thing is true of valor and heroism. We have to say these are not just things that are relegated to stories of old. These are not just things from 100, 1,000, 2,000 years ago. We get to claim valor and heroism alive in the world today. These are energetic forces, and these are the forces that the hero, that the heroine wields, that they step into. And all of us, because the way I see it, we all of us have to go through, I think of it as an alchemy, a transfiguration from one version of ourselves into another. And that really is the quest of the hero. At the end of the day, yes, they are doing something for the greater good, but in order for them to achieve whatever it is they have set out to accomplish, to be, there's something that has to happen within. And one of my favorite quotes in the entire world is actually by Ralph Waldo Emerson. What lies behind us and what lies before us are small matters compared to what lies within us. And this is the adage of the hero, because it doesn't matter. Like, yes, they go to the other world. They may receive boons from the gods, from the goddesses. They may receive magical items they take back with them. But at the end of the day, what they've really been given is the key to unlock something within themselves, something that was always there. And so the quest, the story, the journey of the hero or the heroine is always rising up into the highest soul destiny, is always rising up into the greatest version of themselves. That which was always there waiting to be awakened. And so I know that I was actually going to share today I usually in my classes, I talk for a very long time. And so I'm going to try to keep it brief today. But I was going to tell an Irish legend of Fionn Cumhaill. But let me just, before I go there, I just want to make sure there's nothing pressing that I forgot to share. Um, so yes, I just want to just make sure that I'm articulating that what I think of, when I look at a lot of stories of heroism and valor, are different, I would say characters or historic figures adhering to high ideals. And so that's the whole thing is a lot of people, they may say like, oh, I'm a really good person, but it's choosing these really ancient ideals. It's choosing them in our heart of hearts. Many of us are very old souls. And so in this call today, I really want to invite you to awaken that part of your soul, that part that if you believe in different past lives, maybe you have been a knight, maybe you have, aspired to certain acts of valor. And I really just invite you to feel into your heart of hearts. What does valor mean to you? And I definitely see people in the chat writing about different past incarnations they've had. So I love that. And so let me just see if there's anything else before we go into the story. So I just want to say, for those of you who are not familiar with Fionn Cumhaill, I have to give you a little bit of a preamble with him. So Fionn Cumhaill, and I'm not going to go into the whole story here because many of you have heard this, but he's actually one who is imbued with, the wisdom of the salmon of knowledge. So as a young boy, by accident, he's preparing this like sacred fish for his master. The master has searched far and wide for this holy salmon of wisdom. And Fionn Cumhaill at this point is a small boy. He's preparing the salmon for his master. And all of a sudden, there's a sputtering of oil. And the oil sputters onto Fionn Cumhaill like hand. It goes to his thumb. And without thinking, he brings the thumb to his mouth. And all of the wisdom of the world, the wisdom of ages that was contained in that salmon, which was meant for Fionn's master, goes to Fionn himself. So in this moment, Fionn's master has been searching for eons, for this sacred salmon, realizes that it was all for the young boy, that it was so this young boy could step into like the greatest wisdom of the world. And the master, really, I feel like there is such a grace here. And so Fionn has a big destiny. Fionn has many, many feats that he undergoes in his life. But one of the things that we most know him for is being the leader of a group of warriors known as the Fianna. And so the story, how does he become the leader? And so I just want to share that he has all the wisdom of the world from the time he's a very young boy, but he's still not the leader. What is his journey that brings him from the boy who has all the wisdom to the man who becomes the true leader, someone that people look up to and admire? Um, and I have people like telling me the pronunciation. Yes. Thank you for the pronunciation. It's so funny because my pronunciation is not always the best. I once taught a course on Welsh mythology. I feel very bad for my Welsh ancestors. It's like, I think they were looking down at me like, oh, this poor girl. But so thank you. I always appreciate the proper pronunciation. Um, but so I want to share that there was in the days of old, there was actually a fire-breathing goblin who, every Samhain would come to the hill of Tara. And this is the seat of kings. This is the seat of kings. And every year at Samhain, this great being, I believe his name, I might not pronounce this correctly, Eileen McMegda. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing this correctly. I have her written down, Eileen MacMeda. Okay, we're going to go with that pronunciation. And anyone who wants to correct me in the chat, totally go for it. Because I think there is such beauty to the language, and I want to make sure I'm saying it correctly. But I share this because this being, when I say that, when I call in these beings, when I tell these stories, I feel their presence on the other side. And these beings, these stories, they live on in the hearts. Many of us may not have heard a story in this lifetime, but we remember it from a previous one. So I just want to share this. So there's this great fire breather. And every year at Samhain, he would come to the hill of Tara, the seat of kings. And he would have this beautiful harp, and the people would come and they would be drawn to the music. The music would bring them into states of rapture. Oh, such rapture. And then little by little, the notes would sound and they would fall to sleep one by one. And this great being, this fire breathing goblin, would cackle with glee. I've made them fall asleep once again. And he would put his harp down, and then he would suddenly roll back his shoulders, open his mouth wide, and all of the flame of his being, this goblin magic, it would burn down the halls. It would burn down the seat of kings. And then the people would awaken, and the great stronghold of the hill of Tara would have been destroyed once more every Samhain. And the king of Ireland grew restless, and he grew angry that year after year, these people, they could not resist this musical harp, that year after year, they were put to sleep again and again, and they would have to rebuild. And and every time they would rebuild, it'd be just in time for Samhain, and then the goblin would come again. Fionn, hearing of this, and yet he heard of this, and where everyone was stumped, how do we defeat this fire-breathing goblin? Fionn, who had eaten of the salmon of knowledge, who had all the wisdom of the world, he knew the way. And so he goes to the king of Ireland, the high king, and he says, if I can help you defeat this fire-breathing goblin, will you help me? Will you let me become the leader? Will you let me become the leader of this band of warriors? The High King of Ireland thinks about this. And he thinks that every year he's been thwarted. And he thinks, well, if this young man, this fledgling, this boy almost man, if he thinks that he can do this, who am I to stand in his way? And so Fionn Mac Cumhaill, he goes deep within and he goes into the wisdom of his soul. And he asks, what is it that I can do? How can I defeat this great goblin? And so there is actually someone that he goes to, someone who has a very special sphere. And so this sphere will give Fionn, it will give him the ability to not fall asleep when the music plays. So he actually, there's a special sphere. So one thing about heroes and heroines that they usually, to defeat the villain, to get to the other side, there's usually something magical that comes in on their journey. And so Fionn Cumhaill finds this magical sphere, and it's the eve, it's Samhain, and there is this fire-breathing goblin, and everyone is listening to the harp, falling asleep one by one at the foot of this fire breather, and he is cackling that once more he will be victorious. And this is a game to him. This is funny to him that every year he defeats the king. Every year he gets to have everyone fall asleep and burn the hill of Tara down again. And so this time, Fionn Cumhaill is lying in wait. He has this magical sphere. And there's actually kind of a poison or like some kind of elixir in the sphere. And he puts this to his mouth and he sucks this. He sucks this as this like this harp is being played, as everyone is falling asleep. And because of this, he himself does not fall into a state of slumber. He himself does not fall asleep. So the goblin, thinking it's won, thinking it's been victorious, he opens his mouth wide to burn everything down just as before. But Fionn has not fallen asleep, and he raises a mighty weapon. And with this, he slays the goblin once and for all. And he slays the goblin and rises victorious, doing something that no one thought could be done. The Hill of Tara, the seed of kings, is saved from this magic, the seed of kings. The king himself comes over, awakening from the slumber, and thanks Fionn Cumhaill for holding the wisdom of the world within him, for knowing what to do. I share this story because this is a moment, this was something that everyone believed was impossible. And what I think sets the Irish heroes and heroines, what sets them apart, is their wisdom. Is that for many, Irish heroes, it's that seed of wisdom they're holding within. It's that connection to the mysteries of nature itself. That's what gives them the ability to persevere in the face of impossible odds. And so in this moment, Fionn is given the ability, he does become the leader of this band of warriors. And so he does this, whatever fear he felt, anything that was holding him back, he rose. He rose into the magnificence, into the glory of his soul. And so I share this with you because that's how we transform. We have to take those risks. We have to cross that threshold. We have to dare to do what most others would fear. And so for the hero, there is this great alchemy. There is meeting our fear head on. Sometimes we acknowledge the fear, we see the fear, and yet we continue anyway. We face the monster. And I share this because so many of us, when we look at the world today, I said this a moment ago, and I want to do actually a quick guided journey for everyone here to actually connect with their own hero or heroine. In a few minutes, we'll do that. But I just want to share that part of this really is because in the story, Fionn Cumhaill, he starts as the young boy. Like, yes, he has all the knowledge, but he is not the leader. And he has to go through, there is a great task. There is a great initiation for him. And so many of us, like that's what it means to step into our own inner hero or heroine, is meeting the initiation head on. It's not, a lot of us go through life and we kind of meet the initiation, we'll kind of meet it like this, or like we'll be called to step into a greater version of ourselves. And we don't fully open. And that's the thing with the hero or the heroine, is that they come with a full heart, even if they are shaking in their boots. And they rise and they open to the mystery. They open to the unknown. And that really connects actually the hero or heroine. Many of us look, to the hero or heroine as deeply connected to adventure. And when we go on an adventure, we are going into the mystery, it's into the unknown. And why do we do this? The hero or heroine may do this because they're upholding some high principle. Maybe they've been put on a quest. But a lot of times we go on the adventure to experience the wonder. We go on the quest to experience the awe of what it means to be alive. So a hero lives larger than life. They experience beauty, they experience wonder, they experience what I call life with a capital L. And so that's when we look at the heroes. It's they who dare to live big, to live large. And it's not just that they live large for themselves, but they live large for others. They lead, a lot of times, a lot of heroes, they doubt, do I have the strength? Do I have what it takes? And yet it doesn't matter because they don't let that seed of doubt, they don't let that lead them, they don't let that rule them. So really part of becoming the hero is this inner mastery, is this surrender to the glory of the soul and trusting the self deeply, knowing that even if they go into like the mouth of the unknown, like I think that Joseph Campbell calls this, it's like the final threshold, that they can rely, they can depend on some spark of divinity within themselves, their own inner strength, that their courage will see them through. So that's just something I want to say before we go into a very quick guided process. And so I'm just going to take a sip of water here. I usually do a very long setup for my guided journeys. I'm going to be very quick here today, and I just want to call in the Tuatha and the Irish gods and goddesses to be here with us. I also want to call upon the spirit of heroism, the spirit of valor, to be here with each and every one of us. I call upon the heart activation. And for all of you in this moment to really rise, to feel yourself stepping into the full glory of your soul, to believe in your own inner power. Here in this moment, we activate your courage. And I invite you to see yourself moving through time and space, and see yourself on this great and glorious hill. Before you stands a great hero, Fionn Cumhaill. You see him standing ever so gently beside a stream. In this stream, you see a salmon swimming gently, a salmon of knowledge. Fionn looks down at the water meaningfully, deeply. And then he turns to you. As he looks into your eyes, you see all that wisdom, all the wisdom of the salmon. That wisdom transforms from him, it moves to you. Feel yourself suddenly flooding with wisdom. Feel your heart activated in this moment. It's not just wisdom you receive, but courage. And now open heart, mind, body, and soul to see if this great hero, Fionn Cumhaill, if he has a message for you. And now he invites you to come with him, to take his hand and to look into the reflection in the pool. You see the reflection of this great hero. Maybe you see him with a great beard. Maybe you see him with his eyes full of wisdom. Perhaps there's a sword at his side. And yet, when you look into the water, something takes you by surprise. For it's not just one great hero you see, but two. Look into the water at your reflection for the being you see in the depths. This is you. This is your most heroic self. Perhaps you are wearing something different than you expect. Perhaps you see that you yourself have a sword. And I invite you to really take a moment to stare at this version of you, this reflection in the pool, to look at them with curiosity, with wonder. And all of a sudden, this beautiful reflection in the pool, suddenly you see it rise. It rises up, this beautiful cascade of water, suddenly merging with you, becoming one with you. And you feel yourself in this moment, feel this water swirling all around you. Feel this great blessing from the other world. This blessing from the other world, this is bringing through the codes of the hero, the magic of valor and heroism. Feel this swirling within you, activating you on a cellular level. Feel your heart opening, and feel all of a sudden whatever beautiful attire you saw on that hero. See yourself suddenly adorned wearing this. Perhaps you have something on your head. Maybe there is a hat. Maybe you feel that there is now something, some kind of special bow, some kind of special sword that you feel on yourself now. And take a moment to really feel you are the hero. You are the heroine. This is not just something from a legend. This is not just something from a story that you would have found in ages past. Feel yourself in this moment as the embodiment of a hero. What do you want to do? Who do you want to become? What thresholds do you need to cross? And now take a moment because Fionn Cumhaill, he has new wisdom for you. Now that you have stepped into this new version of yourself as the great hero or heroine of your own mythic story. Take a moment to receive this wisdom and ask yourself, what does being a hero mean to you? What ways are you called to step in to your valor, to step into your nobility, to step into your highest destiny? This is a great question for your soul. Take a moment to let your soul answer. Let the answer rise up from the deepest part of your being. Beautiful. And I invite you to take one last look at this place and look one more time in this beautiful pool, seeing the salmon of knowledge swimming in the water. And take a moment to just really feel this activation locking into your being. And this is the moment where you get to choose valor, not just as something from the past, but something that you get to be, something that you get to step into, an energy that now is forever part of you. Take a moment to breathe this in, locking in this energy, and feel yourself transported back through time and space, back to the room where you first began today's magical journey. And you might want to rub your palms together, move your feet against the floor, really come back into this now moment. And take a couple deep breaths and just really land back into your body, knowing that this is part of you now. And that's one of the things with the great heroes of the past. It's this knowledge that any one of us can choose to be a hero at any time. This is not something that we have to go, for example, Cuchulainn, one of the great heroes in Irish legends, he has to actually go to the Isle of Skye to train with Skaha, who is a legendary warrioress. And I love this because this is, ancient Irish story. But the greatest warrior of that time, Cuchulainn, who many consider the greatest warrior, he has to learn from Skaha, a woman. And so I love this. So that's again, like this is the power of heroes and heroines. And I have someone commenting on my earrings. Yes, they have swords. Yes, they have swords. I couldn't do this beautiful call on heroes and heroines without bringing in the swords. And I just want to share because that's one of the last things I'll say, because I know that I know Jocelyn and I have a couple more things to share with you together. But one of the things with the hero or heroine is a lot of times they have a very sacred, it could be, I call it an item. Sometimes people call it like a weapon. So if you look at the Hunger Games, Katniss Everdeen, she has her bow and arrow. If you look at King Arthur, he has Excalibur. Also, Robin Hood has a bow and arrow as well. And I really see these sacred objects, like they are really holding the power of that hero or heroine's soul. And it lets them rise to new heights. But at the end of the day, it's almost like the Wizard of Oz, where it's like, yes, there was that magical object that helped them, get, further on the journey. But at the end of the day, that great power always came from inside. And that's really the journey, is we're always, as hero and heroine, stepping into deeper and deeper levels of our own personal power, choosing to believe in ourselves again and again. And lastly, what I want to say is not just choosing to believe in ourselves, but our power to make a difference, our power to make an impact in the world. And so many of us, when we look at the leaders in today's world, the people who are on the world stage, I feel that it's interesting. I told the story of the great goblin who puts everyone to sleep. And I didn't know why I chose that story, but I feel that there is almost something going on in the world where many of us are asleep to the power that we hold. And in this story, Fionn met Cumhaill, he has like the magical knowing of how to keep himself awake and how to slay the monster. And so I feel in this moment, the way that we keep ourselves awake is we remember our own innate power. We remember the ability we have in every single moment to make a difference, to make a change, because I feel like there are different forces in the world. Maybe some of them are leaders, and they don't want the individual to know the power they have to step into their own heroic destiny, to make a big difference in the world. And I want to say that each and every one of you, whether live or on the replay, you have the ability to step into your heroism. You have the ability to make a difference, to make an impact. And so this is an invitation to wake up from that slumber, and to truly claim the majesty of your soul. And so with that, I think, Jocelyn, I know you were going to come on the stage again.
Wow, Elizabeth, thank you. This has been so powerful. I just love everything you just said here at the end. It's so important. It's so relevant to what we're all feeling in the world right now. And thank you for reminding us that we are each so powerful. We are each heroes and heroines. And this is what's happening in the world, I believe, is that we are rising up, we are remembering our power, because it can't continue with these false leaders that we have, these false heroes. So this is just very moving. And I love the journey. I love that the salmon holds the wisdom. It's so interesting there, right? Like this incredible, animal being that's holding the wisdom, and then share and then passing it along to the human. Um, that's really beautiful, like reminding us to return to nature, return to our roots and the water, the elements. And I just loved what you said. Even if we are shaking in our boots, we turn toward the mystery and
Mm.
we surrender to the glory of our own soul. It's so true and it's so beautiful. And this is what's really available to us here. So thank you for all of it and for reminding us of these important notes about our true power that we hold within.
Oh, it was my pleasure. I woke up this morning and I was like, this call is important. And I knew that it was really for everyone here, because it's like we are the power. It's not just like any one person. And I feel like, again, this age of Aquarius, it's all of us collectively rising into our own inner hero or heroine, because every single person has an inner hero or heroine. And that's the whole thing. It's like we get to like bring our attention to that. We get to sing that part of ourselves awake. And I just feel like for so many of us, that inner hero or heroine is lying dormant, waiting to be called upon, waiting to rise into action.
Yes, yes, yes. I couldn't agree more. So, everybody, if you love what you've experienced here today with what Elizabeth has shared, you will be really delighted to know that she is going to be teaching a 4-week course coming up. And we are just honored to have Elizabeth offering her course through the Global School for Quantum Evolution. So, we would love to share that course with you. I will share my screen here and we'll bring it up so you can see all the details and see if this is right for you at this time. And I'll put the link to the course in the chat here on Zoom and YouTube so you can check it out. You can go click on this and check it out at your own pace as you would like to, but also be sure to listen in and hear what we will share about it here. So this course is called Legendary Irish Heroes and Heroines, and it is a 4-week magical quest and storytelling online course. And I feel it's just even so much more than that because it carries this thread of how do we step into that role of being the hero or heroine in our own lives in the way that is uniquely right for each of us, which is just so amazing to be exploring. So Elizabeth, could you share with us what is your inspiration for this? I think we've talked about it a little bit already, but anything more you want to say about why you created this course and why is it important for us right now at this particular time?
Oh my God, there's so much inspiration for this course. But when you first like contacted me, it was like, oh, do you want to teach, do you want to teach something for the school? And it was so funny. Right away, I thought of like the legends of King Arthur that came through right away. And I was thinking of the Valor and yet, at that time I had really immersed in the Irish myths and legends. And I thought, why don't I see these same stories of valor and courage? Why isn't there that same emphasis in the Irish legends? And I realized that it was there, but it was like a little bit more beneath the surface. And so I felt like, there were keys. I felt like there were these Irish legends, these Irish stories were holding hidden mysteries, hidden keys that were waiting for the right moment to be unearthed. And I felt that this really was the right moment because, like we've been talking about, when we look at the state of the world, when we look at the leadership, it's really clear the leaders out there are not the ones that are going to birth this new earth. It is us. It is us. And so these ancient principles of heroism and valor, it is more important than ever before that we, not just that we remember them, but that we actively choose to embody them again. And these stories, they are holding the keys, they are holding this sacred remembrance. And throughout the ages, we've told so many stories, especially the Irish pantheon. There are, hundreds, thousands of legends. And yet, the beating heart of the Irish hero, I feel that there is wisdom that this is the moment it's meant to be shared. These Irish heroes and heroines, they have something special to impart in you so you can step into your highest destiny.
Amazing, amazing, amazing. So we welcome you all to come here and read through all the beautiful inspiration for this course, what you will receive. And as it says here in this magical quest, you will ignite your true courage, go on a journey of self-discovery, and find stories for today's challenges, which is so helpful because we have so much that we're being shown one version of the story, but a little paradigm shift or a big paradigm shift can help you to see what's going on in our world in a whole different way, which is very interesting. And throughout this course, Elizabeth is going to help you really be inspired to step into and become the hero that you were born to be in your own very unique way. So we invite you to join us for this 4-week amazing experience. And I will share the meeting times and the logistics in a minute. We invite you to come here and learn more about Elizabeth too, if you don't know her already. She is such a bright light. Elizabeth, you are such a bright light in the world and bring so much inspiration to so many. Um, is there anything else you want to say about the course and what people will receive on this journey?
Well, one thing I can say, I know that we're going to go through the modules, but that each of these weeks of the course, we're going to focus on a different aspect of myth and storytelling to activate a different part of your own inner hero or heroine. And because I think that, today there's been like a brief overview, but really when we look at what it means to be a hero, when we look at what it means to hold valor, it's almost like a diamond. There are so many different facets. And for each person, it's like a deepening. When we choose to step into what it means to be a hero, we go to the deepest parts of our soul. And so these stories, the intention behind them is to really awaken these dormant pieces of you. And they're all different parts. We're going to go through the modules, but for example, there's one week that we're really focusing on On the surface, it's a love story, but I really feel that one of the most important aspects, and we're going to go through this in a moment, but of looking at heroes and heroines is that we're really living with these higher principles. We're really living with these higher ideals. And so I feel like for the hero, the heroine, we lead from love. We really are leading from that place of highest love, service, and devotion. And whether it's like the Knights of the Round Table, any tradition where we look at valor, it is really stemming from a love of the greater good, a love of what happens when all of us stand together, united. And so that's just something else. So it is to activate you within, but is also to activate us together.
I love what you said there about the highest principles.
Hmm.
No, because I think that's something we are all feeling so strongly that we want to bring back into the world and that the world has fallen out of, right? Is these, like highest integrity, our highest values and principles that we know to be true, that are just universal to all humanity or even all beings on the earth. And how do we bring those back? So these ancient stories absolutely connect us back in with those kinds of principles and integrities. That's so beautiful. So let's look at the program details here. So the classes will be held on Thursdays, and if you're watching this live and you are able to attend live at this time on Thursdays, you're in luck. It's the same time that the classes will be held, starting at 2 p.m. New York time on Thursdays. And the classes will be on April 10th, 17th, and 24th, and May 1st. And these classes will be about 120 minutes long and will include all the beautiful shares that Elizabeth will have for you each time, plus Q&A time toward the end. All of the class sessions will be recorded. So if you ever can't attend live, don't worry, you will get the recording, usually within a day afterward, definitely within 48 hours after each live class is held. And you will have lifetime access to all of these. We're not taking them down at any certain point in time, so you can come back to this as often as you want and as far out in the future as you would like to. And in that way, it's very valuable. It will be there for you. So let's go and look at the modules here. So for module 1, it will be about great heroes and heroines in the Irish mythic cycle and will be held on April 10th. So Elizabeth, can you tell us a little bit more about module 1?
We have all the beautiful bullets here. It's like, what makes a hero? And we talked about this today, but we're going to go even deeper. This is really this module. We are going to be talking about, Irish myths and legends, but all of these classes is really an invitation for you to dive deeply into your own soul power, your own soul magic. So we're going to look at certain heroes in the Irish tradition, their defining qualities, what makes them a hero. And you're going to also look at that in yourself. What qualities can you cultivate within? What qualities are you already holding in abundance? And so we also have here the quest and call to adventure. Because one of the big things, there's so many people that receive the call, and that's what sets the hero apart is they may be like, Jocelyn said earlier, like they may be quaking in their boots, and yet they know there's something greater. It really is the call of the soul. To be a hero is to say yes fully to like your highest soul destiny, your highest soul mission. And so that's something that I know so many of us, like, even when we say yes, like we have to find the courage to say yes again and again. And so that's something that we're going to talk about in this class. And there'll be a lot more about Irish mythology. There's going to be a beautiful story that we're going to tell, a beautiful story of a voyage. And like, today, there will be another guided journey. But this one, usually my guided journeys are a bit longer. But so that first class is really going to be a deep dive into what does it mean to be a hero, and looking at the different Irish stories. I'm going to tell there's one here in the module that's listed, but I'm actually going to look at several of them. And it's really going to be diving deeply into these ancient Irish legends and finding these stories of valor and nobility, these higher principles that, like I said, like we see them in the legends of King Arthur. We even see them in some of the Greek, like the Greek stories. But in the Irish legends, they're hidden. So this class is really going to be us like taking a magnifying glass, shining the light on where we find valor, where we find these like beautiful examples of nobility in Irish mythology.
Amazing. And I just want to say that I know from attending some of your previous courses, Elizabeth, that you really do take us on such a deep journey into the deep meaning behind all that's happening in the story. And just to give us such a profound felt sense and experiential sense of it. So I just want to highlight that so everybody is aware, and that your journeys are so beautiful, So this is so much more than learning about what's here. It's really, really feeling and experiencing what Elizabeth will be sharing. And I love that about your work, Elizabeth.
Thank you.
So here is module 2, Legends of the Heart. Can you tell us more about that?
Yes, this one I'm very excited about. I did kind of like mention this one earlier. So it's love and desire in Celtic legends. You might be like, but why is this in why is this in the class about like, Irish heroes and heroines? And I just really love the story of like Diarmuid and Grania. And like many people will look at the story and they'll tell it, they'll kind of just like go through the story as like, okay, this is the beginning, this is the end. But I think that for me, Grania, I'm not going to tell the story here because you got to take the class. But what I think that is so amazing about her is she claims her desire. She fully steps forward and claims her desire. And there is something so many times we look at heroes or heroines, they're selfless. They kind of say like, okay, the needs of the whole is more important than my personal needs. And I feel like that is an old paradigm that is kind of more of like a martyr energy. And that's usually when we look at heroes or heroines, we look at people who there's a lot of self-sacrifice. And I really wanted to bring this story through because I felt like I had this kind of deep connection when I first had the idea for this module, Grania herself coming to me. And for me, these stories, by the way, these stories are alive, and the characters in these stories, I'm telling you, when I connect with the legends, I feel these beings as living, breathing people on the other side, whispering in my ear, wanting their stories told anew. So I really felt Grania wanting to because there are different ways that she's depicted, not always in the best light, actually. But I really felt her as a presence coming through saying, tell my story, show people the importance of claiming their desires because there's something sacred in your soul desire. Especially, this is a moment for you to really ask yourself, what is the greatest desire of my soul? And we may have many different great desires of our soul. But that's part of the hero or heroine's journey in today's world. It's no longer about self-sacrifice. It is really about choosing you, choosing yourself again and again, because that desire is in your heart for a reason. And there's something heroic about choosing you. So that's one of the things I wanted to share about this module.
Beautiful. And then we will have module 3, which is Imrama, Sacred Voyages.
Okay, beautiful. So if we actually look at the traditional Irish stories, there are two different kinds of stories. Are the ones, the Imrama, that happen actually over the sea. There's usually a great voyage. You have to cross the water and you head into the other world. So we'll be going on a beautiful guided journey in this module. We will be connecting with a lot of different fairy beings. Some of the Tuatha De Danann, who are the great gods and goddesses of Ireland. Because, like I shared earlier, most of the traditional Irish myths and legends for heroes and heroines, we are connecting with the other world. That's how we receive the boons. That's how we receive the blessings. And I can just share in my own personal life, when you connect with these gods and goddesses, because I have felt myself, I've been asked to do things that, like, on a human level, I'm like, how could you ask? Like, I felt like the universe has asked me to do things that are beyond what my human self thinks are possible. And when I step up, when I say yes, I have found there have been boons from the other worlds and boons from different gods and goddesses. And so I share this because part of what happens is when we go on these journeys to the other world, we take the medicine, we take the magic back with us. And we actually bring back like their support. We have really eternal allies when we go to these magical places. So this is really an opportunity for you to go on a soul journey. And I think it's the next module. There's also another kind of storytelling, which is more of like the wonder, the wonder tales, the wonder voyages. And so that's just one more thing I want to speak to quickly, connecting the idea of the hero or heroine with adventure, because we go on adventure for, like I said, living life with a capital L. We go to really experience the wonder, the awe of what it is to be alive. And so that's part of what you get to claim for yourself as well.
Amazing, amazing. Yes. Okay. And then finally, module 4, the glory of the soul. That was that one piece you said earlier that moved me so much. We do this for the glory of the soul.
Yes, that's what came through when I was planning this. It's like that phrase in particular. Because I think when we look at a hero or heroine, especially in their final moments, usually when they're facing the bad guy, or like sometimes in a story, it's not even like there is a villain. It's just sometimes like that hero, that heroine, like it's that penultimate moment. They've come to the end of the journey and they have to fully step into all that they are. And that is the glory of the soul. So here in this final module, like I really wanted to work on the story of there's Lou and Valor on the battlefield. I just want to share. Lou is for me a very, very special God. I almost get tears in my eyes when I think of him. I'll share more of this in the module, but there were moments in my life where I was like, this is literally impossible. I cannot do this. And Lou showed up for me. And this is so funny for me because I grew up in a family that, was very traditional, did not believe in gods and goddesses. So for me to even say, like, there is this God that showed up for me in this moment that I felt like all hope was lost, that something was impossible, and they gave me wings to do something that my human self never believed like I could do. It's like my younger self would almost be afraid to say that publicly on stage in front of so many people. And yet, as I've been initiated on this path of these Celtic mysteries, as I've connected with these gods and goddesses, they have given me the strength, the courage to say unequivocally, like, this is all part of the journey. This is all part of you stepping into the highest, most beautiful version of yourself. These beautiful beings, they want to help you succeed. They want to help you thrive. They want you more than that. They want you to experience the mystery, the magic, the beauty of this human experience. It's not just about the mission. And that's also another part of the glory of the soul. So anyway, I want to share though with Lou, though, we're going to be talking about his great story because if ever there was an epic hero, it's Lou. And like finding your courage at the pinnacle moment, I'm going to tell you the story of him on the battlefield and really crossing the threshold to your highest destiny. Also in this module, I mentioned there was a great, warrioress, Skaha, who is the great warrior at the Isle of Skye, who Colin has to travel actually across the water to learn from her. So we're going to be getting sacred wisdom from Skaha, going on a journey, to really step into our own highest valor. Like I really, what I kind of sense is like the reason that Skaha is the final module, and Lou, like that we are meeting them in the final module, is because these are the highest initiations of soul and spirit. And so I thought it was very important. Lou is really holding these codes of the divine masculine. Skaha is holding the codes of divine feminine. And so we are really receiving the highest level initiations for the inner hero, for the inner heroine in this last module. And so you can see here, this final module is about spiritual mastery. And lastly, we have returning to harmony, peace, equilibrium, and balance. And so you think like when you go to like, oh, Skaha, the great warrior goddess of Scotland, that you're going to learn more about battle. And yet, no, the highest principles, it's kind of almost like Yoda from Star Wars. It's like the highest principle, it's always about returning to harmony and balance. When we look at, again, going back to King Arthur and the Knights of the Round Table, yes, there are great stories, there are great quests, but ultimately, all of those quests were to return to harmony, peace, and this divine balance that really is the truth of creation. And so I'm just gonna, I know I ramble a bit sometimes, but I think when we look at Irish stories, one of the things that people don't always recognize is that the high principle in almost every Irish myth and legend, there is a great connection with nature itself, nature as holding the keys, nature as the seat of all wisdom. And so that's why at the end of pretty much every Irish story, there is some kind of returning to the cycles, returning to nature as the highest order of creation. And so in this last module, we'll also be connecting with that principle of harmony and balance.
I love that. I love it. This is so, so beautiful what you put together here, Elizabeth. And I love what you said a little bit earlier when you were talking about this module about it's not only about the mission, completing the mission, it's also about the awe and wonder of the human journey.
Thank you. Yeah.
That is so important. Yeah. Yes, yes. So everybody, we invite you to come here and check out more about the details. There will be a live Q&A in every class session. And we are going to move now to the investment for taking part in this class as a student. And so for this class, the true value of this class is $888 with all of the amazing value and wisdom and storytelling and journeys and everything that Elizabeth is putting into this. And here at the Global School for Quantum Evolution, we are delighted to offer this to you on a donation basis. We hold this value very strongly that we want our amazing courses from our incredible teachers to be accessible to everybody, regardless of financial situations. And so we invite you to come on in and, as it says here, place your hand on your heart, sense into which donation amount is truly right for you, that feels aligned for your heart and soul at this time. And you can just click this button, send your donation, and you will be included in the class. Now, as it says here, don't delay. We're going to have the registration open just until Thursday, April 3rd at the end of the day, New York time. So be sure to join before then. Registration will close at that point. If you have any questions, you can email us at the email address seen here, hello@wearesacredplanet.com. Any questions at all, anything that you're not sure about before joining, feel free to reach out to us. And is there anything else you want to say in closing here, Elizabeth, before we go to the Q&A related to the course?
Let me just feel in for a second. I just really want to, from my heart of hearts, just say that this is a heart and soul activation. That's what it really is. Because when we look at, like, yes, I know I feel like I keep repeating myself here, but when we look at a hero or heroine, there is the outer journey. And I just want to cycle back to what I said, that quote from Ralph Waldo Emerson: what lies behind us and what lies before us are small matters compared to what lies within us. And so I really feel that, like, while we're going deeply into the myths and legends of, the Irish storytelling tradition, really what this is an invitation for you to really deepen in your heart magic, your heart power. Because I feel like every great hero at the end of the day, whether they sacrifice themselves for the greater good, whether they are brave and they choose their heart's desire, it all comes from the heart. And so that's really what I want to share. I feel like in this modern moment, we are looking for the world to be led from the heart once again. And I want to say that part of the inspiration for this course, I love stories. It's like, I love stories. I love Ireland. I love these myths. I love these legends. I love tales of valor. And so I want to invite all of you to step into that love with me in the hopes that it will inspire you, it will light you up, and bring you into that sense of wonder.
Yes, so beautiful. I know everyone here is already feeling so inspired, even before taking the course, just with what you've shared here today. So I can only imagine what a beautiful, profound journey it's going to be in this course. Thank you so much, Elizabeth. So beautiful, so exciting. And I want to go to questions now. So we have some questions in the chat. And if anybody else has any questions, please feel free to put them in the chat and we will get to as many as we can today. Let me just scroll up a little bit toward the beginning of the questions. Let's see. And so many beautiful messages here in the chat. So thank you everybody for these amazing comments. Emer said, sing ourselves awake. Beautiful. Yes. Let's see. Um, Ideen said, thanks for choosing the Irish legends. There are a lot of similarities with Native American legends, the same messages, instinct and nature. Yeah, and I think that's, when we tap into the deep mythology and the ancient mythology from any continent, from any area of the world, we're gonna, find these incredible similar threads that run through them and the type of messages about our integrity and our values and nature and everything. So that's a beautiful point. Let's see here. I'm just scanning for questions. Okay, so Ileana said, are there books, articles, etc., for students to read in preparation for the course?
Oh, I can come up with like a recommended reading list, but no, all you have to do is just show up with your beautiful self, show up and receive the magic.
Beautiful, amazing. So yeah, no prerequisites necessary, everybody. Let's see. Dawn says it was the mention of Tuatha De Danann that brought me to this event today. Thank you. And lots of thank yous. Tracy asks, is there space to elaborate on why we choose what value to pay? Yeah, I would love to share a little more about that, Tracy. This is a really important value for us in the Global School for Quantum Economics, the Global School for Quantum Evolution is sacred economics, because sacred economics, I feel, is one of these principles of the new world that we are building. And so we want everybody who comes into any of our courses to be in their complete sovereignty, right? Completely in your sovereignty about what amount is right for you to pay at this time. And so we all have our financial ups and downs in life, right? So there may be some times when you can send more, and we have many people who send more than the average, and that allows us to continue doing this work. So thank you so much to those who have sent more or who will send more. Than the average amount. And then there may be some that need to send a lower amount, and that's totally fine. And everybody comes into the course equal as students, regardless of the amount that you sent. And so then everybody gets to choose in their sovereignty. So that's why we say, place your hand on your heart and sense into what amount is really right for you. Because if we make the price a set price, there may be some that are not able to join at that price, and we don't want anybody to be left out. So we're really putting this forward as a new sacred economic model, so that we're creating something new. We want to be creating new systems, new structures in the world that really work, that are different than what we've seen before. And there may be people who join for a very low amount right now, but are so inspired and go out and then change the world in their own way based on what they learned in this course. And that's the way that we create a brighter future together, all of us together on this journey. So I hope that that clarifies um, about why we make this donation based. Trista asked, can a family sign up and attend together? Yes, absolutely. If you're all in the same household and you want to sign up and attend together, that is all good. That is very welcome. So yes. Let's see. Evie has posted a great link to some Tuatha De Danann sagas. Thank you, Evie. That looks very fun to check out. Let's see here. Okay, so that's all the questions that I see for now. If anybody has any other questions, please do put them in the chat and we'll get to them before we close today. So I just want to thank everybody for watching this. For those who are here with us live, we're so glad to have you with us. I hope you've received so much from this. And for those who are watching this later as a recording, to you too, I hope you've received so much. I know I am so inspired by what Elizabeth has shared here today. And yeah, we hope that you love what you've received here today, and we hope that you will join the course if it feels aligned for you, if it feels right for you in your heart. Let's see. Okay, lots of thank yous. So I think that's all the questions for today then. Let me just check out on YouTube. Yeah, I don't see any more questions over there either. Yeah, so I think we will go ahead and close the call. I will put the link to join here one more time in the chat, just so everybody can easily access that. And we will be sending this recording out. So if you've loved what you experienced here, we would love for you to share the recording, the replay of this beautiful call with anybody else who you think might be interested. And yeah, we can't wait to see you in the class for those who decide to join. So much love, everybody. Thank you again so much, Elizabeth, for all that you've shared here today. It's been so beautiful to receive. And like I said, I'm feeling very inspired from all of it. So thank you. And thank you for offering this amazing course. I'm so excited about it, and for all those who will attend and receive so much and really step into being the hero and the heroine and going on great adventures within their own life in the way that is right for them. Yeah. So thank you, everybody. So much love. I will see you again soon, and have a beautiful rest of your day.